Abandoning the goal of peaceful reunification, North Korea declares the South is enemy number one. Locals from southern Taiwan travel up to the capital to say no to plans for a solar farm.
Why are there so many Malaysian college students in Taiwan? We take a look at Malaysia's private Chinese high school system.
Plus, we preview an exhibition set to open at the gallery of the presidential office. Hello and welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Joyce Tseng. Relations between North and South Korea have taken a sharp downturn over the last week, with the North now defining the South as its primary enemy. Reese Ayers is live in Taipei with more on what's happening on the Korean Peninsula. Reese, why this latest spike in tensions?
Well, Joyce, tensions have been ticking up for a while now. Most recently, North Korea actually altering their own constitution to redefine South Korea as a hostile state and, as you mentioned, their primary enemy. The North also saying that they're no longer interested in reunification with the South. This coming just days after North Korea blew up some road links and rail links between the two countries, and all in response, Pyongyang is saying, to the South Korea sending propaganda drones over to Pyongyang and dropping propaganda leaflets over the country. Now, the South is neither denying nor confirming that they sent those drones, which some are concerned that may increase tensions further. But the sources we've spoken to seem to think that there's no real risk of the North engaging in a full military operation, though there are some concerns that North Korea could bomb the DMZ and even send some of their own reconnaissance drones to Seoul in retaliation. China even weighing in on the situation now, saying that they're monitoring it closely and that they're hoping for a political settlement.
And Reese, what can you tell us about this new multinational committee set up to keep watch over North Korea?
Yeah, well, that new committee is called the Multilateral Sanctions Monitoring Team, and it was set up by Japan, the US, and South Korea, with some input, they say, from 8 other countries, including the UK, France, and Germany. Now, the purpose of this new team is to monitor the enforcement of sanctions. Now, sanctions there referring to sanctions put onto North Korea by the United Nations, aimed at curbing North Korea's nuclear program. And the team has actually been set up outside of the United Nations, and that's because earlier this year, Russia blocked a UN program that was designed to do just that, to monitor North Korea and their weapons programs. Now, the US and South Korea have both said that they've got intelligence that Russia and North Korea have recently been making illicit arms deals. That's something that Russia and North Korea are denying, though they have openly said that they're looking at improving military ties with each other. That's creating further concerns for the international community and concerns that the North Korea has no plans to slow down its nuclear programs.
Thank you, Reese, for that update. That was Reese Ayers reporting live from Taipei. A top Taiwanese security official is describing recent Chinese military drills around Taiwan as the most threatening yet, revealing more about the latest round of exercises this week and what China's intentions were. Rick Lauert has more.
Well, Monday's drills have been described as presenting more threats than ever to Taiwan, forcing the military to react quickly to those threats. And the security official also outlined how China fired 2 missiles, so that's some rare live fire drills near Taiwan. They also said that 25 Chinese Coast Guard boats and Navy vessels approached close to Taiwan's contiguous zone. That's 24 kilometers off Taiwan's coast. Why was China conducting these drills? Well, the security official said that with these exercises, China is practicing how to turn drills like this into a full-out attack. China, of course, has been doubling down on its rhetoric. On Wednesday, it said it would never recount using force to take Taiwan. And this all comes as Taiwan has been offering olive branches to Beijing. President Lai Ching-te used his National Day speech to suggest that there could be more dialogue across the strait and areas that the two countries could cooperate on. For example, he flagged the epidemic responses and climate change. And this week, a government agency has also suggested that new frameworks could be used to facilitate exchanges, and is even planning to send 2 native Taiwan deers to China as a goodwill gesture. So despite Chinese aggression, why would Taiwan still be keen to push for dialogue across the strait? Well, I spoke to Jia Yin-zhong of the National University of Singapore to find out more.
So I think for Taiwan, they're willing to try to move ahead on the relationship across the straits. They want to show goodwill. They are also trying to avoid and actually demonstrate that they are not the troublemaker. They are not the intransigent party that Beijing is trying to paint them as.
Beijing has been quite determined to label Lai as a troublemaker. They call him a dangerous separatist for his comments on Taiwan and its sovereignty. But what we've seen from Lai, especially from his National Day speech, is that he's keen to carefully choose his words so as not to provoke Beijing. Now he's showing that his administration will push for dialogue across the strait, even as more details of Chinese aggression emerge. Easton Chen and Rick Lowett in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Hong Kong's chief executive has laid out an ambitious plan to bolster the economy and combat a rising housing crisis as the city looks for fresh growth opportunities. But as Rosie Greninger explains, his plan has drawn mixed reactions.
In his third policy address to lawmakers, Hong Kong's chief executive John Lee delivered an economic-centred blueprint focused on reviving the city, which has seen hampered growth since the COVID-19 pandemic. Lee unveiled reforms to support small businesses, postpone loan repayments and bring in more foreign investment.
You have to change, you have to reform, find new ways to make a difference for you to be able to win. And I think that has been the DNA of the Hong Kong people. And I make it no secret that we all have to work hard. That is why I say reform together and build our economy together.
The reforms also include plans to attract international tourism and encourage more people from mainland China, ASEAN countries and the Middle East to move to Hong Kong for education, as well as cutting transaction costs, including drastically scaling back duties on liquor. Plans business leaders say will help boost the city's competitiveness. Lee also announced plans to address Hong Kong's high housing prices, which are among the most expensive in the world. They aim to ease mortgage lending restrictions and improve living conditions for the nearly 110,000 households who live in the city's notorious subdivided flats.
政府建議簡泊房嘅標準，包括必須有窗、有獨立廚廁、有獨立廁所，面積不少於8平方米等。
But some tenants are worried the policy will lead to forced evictions and increased rent.
嗰個劏房絕對係有幫助嘅，但係我覺得真係一定要安置我哋先。嗱，我嗰啲廚廁合一肯定就唔合格㗎啦。咁你點樣安置到我哋啊？或者係改造咗幫助我哋政府俾多少補貼，幫助我哋租過另外一間呢？因為租金你而家咁一劃分。
Lee said it would take years to figure that out. Others raised separate issues with the leader's address. Outside the event, 5 activists from the city's last remaining opposition party staged a petition calling on the government to protect constitutional rights after Beijing clamped down on the city with sweeping national security laws in 2020.
The government should uphold the principle of the freedom of press, the power to the people, and also the freedom of speech, freedom of gathering and demonstration.
The group saying if the government does not listen to the residents of Hong Kong, policies will not succeed. But that call has gone unheard, with the focus of this policy address aligning with Beijing's push to transform Hong Kong's economy and reignite growth. Delphine Chen and Rosie Greninger for TaiwanPlus.
Chip giant TSMC is predicting continued strong performance supported by growing demand for AI technology. The company reported $23.6 billion in revenue for the third quarter of the year, marking a 39% year-on-year increase. It expects similar revenue to close out the year. In an earnings call on Thursday, company CEO C.C. Wei said demand for AI is in its early stages, and he expects revenue from AI products to more than triple this year. Residents from the rural southern Taiwan town of Dapu are in Taipei to protest a solar project in their neighborhood that they say will ruin their community. Tiffany Wong reports.
Dozens of residents from the rural town of Dapu in Jiayi County are protesting the construction of a solar farm near their homes. The site is expected to be the size of 60 basketball courts and is planned to be next to a school and a community center. And they fear it could drive up water fees and cause a heat island effect that will impact their local ecosystems, bringing more costs than benefits to their own livelihoods.
光电滚出大埔！光电滚出大埔！光电滚出大埔！光电滚出大埔！啊，要来加哀求讲吼，袂使搁做落去吼，阮遐人真啊足艰苦的，啊，我像阮咧阴暗时拢足惊吓啦，啊，拢袂困袂食啦。
They also have the support of the opposition Kuomintang, which opposes the ruling Democratic Progressive Party's ongoing energy transition plans, which has caused protests in other parts of the country as well.
自从民进党他们打出所谓的非核家园这个旗子之后，你就发现为了补所谓的能源缺口，开始遍地的想要来去盖所谓的光电厂。我先跟大家讲，我们并不反对盖光电。 但是你不能让光电乱盖啊！你不能让光电去蚕食我们的农田、蚕食我们的山林，以及蚕食我们居民安居乐业的地方。
With Taiwan's land and resources limited, debates on the energy transition are likely to continue as people feel that their interests are being left behind. John Su and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
A solar farm project in central Taiwan has hit a roadblock with concerns that it may actually harm the environment. It's the sort of snag that could add an extra obstacle on Taiwan's path to green energy. John Van Trieste reports.
It may seem like an unlikely place for a power station, but solar panels like these have been sprouting up across fish and clam farms in Taiwan's south and center. Here in Zhanghua County's Fangyuan Township, clam farmers on hard times are eager to sign up. Climate change, disease, and shrinking groundwater supplies have seen production drop. These farmers are aiming to turn over as much as 40% of their land to solar panels, with the hope that the rent money the power company provides will help their businesses survive. But the county government has reservations. Though the Energy Administration in Taipei gave permission for a trial covering 20% of the land and 2 panel makers got on board, local regulators have blocked the project since 2022. Because while the project may look green, there are questions about whether it could actually harm the environment. Some environmentalists worry that it could affect the bird habitats provided by the open land, and that the panels themselves might leak toxic materials into the water.
我们应该优先来考量，这样盖下去之后，目前的市景区盖下去之后，对原本的承租户有什么样的影响？对周边环境有什么影响？对生态有什么样的影响？有没有可解决的方式？
Local officials say for the project to go ahead, clam farmers will need to further explain how they'll deal with the question of potential toxins from the panels getting into the water.
渔电共振还是以渔为主嘛，那电的话为辅这个部分，那会不会有整个是不是有相对的影响？ 跟水的清洗的污水处理这个部分都有不同的意见。
It's issues like this Taiwan faces as it tries to wean itself off both nuclear power and fossil fuels, one of the government's big missions for the coming years. Hank Xu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Condemned Vietnamese billionaire Trong My Lan now faces life in prison on top of a death sentence for fraud. A Ho Chi Minh City court found the property tycoon guilty of money laundering, cross-border cash trafficking, and fraud. In April, she was sentenced to death in a separate case for defrauding $27 billion from one of Vietnam's largest banks. That crime affected 36,000 people, mostly small investors.
Thì thực ra là dành dụm những đồng tiền gần như là mồ hôi xương máu, và những cái đồng tiền gọi là trợ cấp của người chị điên, rồi là tiền trợ cấp của mẹ già dành dụm vào đó. Thế thì dồn có một ít tiền nó mang vào đó gửi thôi, thì nghĩ rằng thấy linh hoạt có lãi là chị gửi thôi, chứ cũng không nghĩ gì là lừa đảo lúc ấy là như nào cả.
Trong is thought to have stolen the equivalent of 6% of Vietnam's GDP. Now, coming up after the break. On the outlying Jingmen Islands, a former military tunnel transformed into a concert hall.
This month's top hits on TaiwanPlus. Traditional Chinese medicine has long been a mystery.
经络现象是一种生命现象，生命消失就不会有经络的现象。
Witness a new era as ancient healing embraces the future.
As a kid, I thought about living in a big city. When I came to Taiwan, it was a real eye-opener.
Why do many expats view Taiwan as home?
It's just a magical place. I don't know how else to put it.
Dive into touching stories of how they interact with local culture. Mandarin learning can be intriguingly fun.
Fire is 火.
Join us on a journey to explore how Mandarin radicals connect with everyday life. Calling all campers and dog lovers. A tail-wagging and breathtaking adventure is on its way. Vibrant and original programs exclusively on TaiwanPlus.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Weightlifter Guo Xingcun is encouraging donations to support disadvantaged children. It comes as part of the Olympian's new role as an ambassador for a youth foundation.
有很多，比如说服装，其实我没有穿到的，然后我就想说，看有没有人需要。然后其实还是有很多的地方是需要这样的一个帮助。
Guo says she was raised in a low-income single-parent household and overcame these challenges through weightlifting. As the ambassador of the Puren Youth Care Foundation, she hopes to give back to similarly disadvantaged children. High school students in Malaysia are looking abroad to further their studies, and for many, Taiwan is a top destination. Tiffany Wong reports in the latest installment of our Southbound series.
"17-year-old Wang Roshan is in her final year of secondary school in Penang, Malaysia. It may also be her last year at home. She plans to go abroad for college and study technology in either Singapore or Taiwan.
可是很多就是在台湾读书之后，他们选择在那边工作，因为他们告诉我，其实台湾的就业机会是蛮不错的，尤其是在科技领域，然后待遇啊、福利那些都还不错，所以让我有点心动了，可能会做更多的调查。
我们要 focus 的 prism 就是这个 triangular prism。
Like Wang, around 90% of ethnic Chinese in Malaysia enroll at these independent Chinese high schools, where they study in English and Malay aside from Chinese, broadening their options for higher education abroad, an option many here must consider, because Malaysian public universities follow a quota system that favors Malays, making it harder for these students to find a place to study in their home country.
It's private Chinese high schools in Malaysia like these that send many students to Taiwan, making them one of the largest groups of international students in the country.
Hundreds of kilometers away in the capital Kuala Lumpur, students at another private Chinese high school are taking extra physics classes during a school break, trying to stay ahead of the competition.
如果
给台湾的话，我其实还是 aim 的是台大，因为我知道，台大是台湾最好的大学，那肯定是要是最好的嘛。
And once done with university, many of these students say they plan to stay in Taiwan to begin their careers. In 2023, Malaysians became the largest group of foreign professionals in Taiwan, with jobs in tech and commerce, surpassing Japanese workers for the first time. They also outnumbered workers from Indonesia and Vietnam, who are the two largest groups of international students in the country. Some educators say that a similarity in culture and a multilingual background could also give Malaysians an advantage in finding jobs in Taiwan.
我有蛮多学生，差不多一半的学生会留在台湾。那因为台湾对他们来说，很容易适应生活。然后，而且就是比如说台积电这些大的企业家，他们也蛮喜欢马来西亚的学生。他们有个优势就是多语言的这一个能力。 比如说他们英语、华语、闽南语、马来语等等。
But that's all in the future. For now, these high school students have their sights set on the immediate challenge ahead, taking it one class and one test at a time as they prepare to leave high school and make their way to Taiwan. Patrick Chen and Tiffany Wong in Georgetown, Malaysia for TaiwanPlus.
And you can catch the final part in our Malaysia series here on TaiwanPlus tomorrow evening. A new permanent exhibit at the presidential office is spotlighting Taiwan's history of comic book art. Wesley Lewis was there to check out the display.
We're here at the presidential office in Taipei as its public gallery gears up to unveil a new permanent exhibit this weekend. And on display are Taiwanese comics. The exhibit is called Together as One with Taiwan, the Arc of Democracy. It covers everything from comic books depicting Taiwan's history to edgy contemporary graphic novels.
那我们也相信，在透过这样的努力跟介绍之外，让国人能够看到我们国家的一个漫画的一个软实力。那我们希望这个软实力，它可以再借接到不论是戏剧、电影或者是音乐这些界面上，可以让我们的文化软实力好越来越的发光。
The gallery's opening comes after last week's National Day Presidential Office light show, where Taiwan's comics featured prominently. Taiwan's comic book business has experienced several golden ages and periods of downturn, but recent government initiatives plan to give the industry a boost and to try and tap into the global market, worth tens of billions of dollars. The showcase opens to the public on October 19th and will be on display until 2028. Providing visitors ample time to come immerse themselves in this colorful exhibit. Joseph Wu and Wesley Lewis in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
In Taiwan's outlying Jingmen Islands, a tunnel originally built in case of war with China now hosts an annual music festival. Cadence Quaranta reports.
A moving performance inside an old military tunnel, now the site of an annual 2-day music festival in Taiwan's outlying Kinmen Islands, just a few kilometers from China. The venue as integral to the show as the music.
我觉得音乐的特殊性就是，我也不跟你讲历史，可是你知道这里是一个坑道，这是战争的。然后，当听到音符的时候，每一个人想法不一样，那不觉得这是最美的一件事情吗？这也是最民主的一件事情。
Off the coast of China, but governed by Taiwan, Kinmen is the front line between the two sides, with China claiming sovereignty over Taiwan. When China bombarded these small islands with shells in the 1950s, this tunnel was built for boats to transport military supplies. But now, its thick granite walls serve as a natural echo chamber, creating acoustics perfect for concerts, and leaving those that witness them in awe.
当他演奏的时候，会有那种共鸣感，会鸡皮疙瘩都起来那种感觉。
然后配上那个母亲的歌，我就想到我妈，就很感动，我就流下眼泪。我觉得这个真的是很棒的地方，尤其那个音乐会穿透人的那种思想，好像会穿进灵魂那种感觉。
Though now showcased by the music festival, this old tunnel is not the only reminder of war here. Kinmen's past as a frontline battleground is still palpable across the island today, and its history brings in tourists. Several former military sites like this tunnel are now open for people to visit. But unlike the island's other sites, where tourists revisit history, music has given this tunnel a new life, selling out over 1,500 tickets for this year's festival in just 2 minutes. And for the first time, pieces were composed specifically for this festival. Performing his original poem, poet Pyongyang emphasizes the need for peace.
在目前的国际局势当中，包括乌俄战争，包括中东，也包括中国对台湾的威胁，这都是对和平非常不利的因素。所以我的这个和平诉求当然是针对着中国。
From the confines of this wartime tunnel, a call for peace and a celebration of life, with poetry and music transforming reminders of a difficult past into a beacon for the future. Ryan Wu, Peachy Zhuang, and Keynes Koranta for TaiwanPlus.
A Taiwanese runner has broken the world record for his age group in the world's longest road race held in New York. Running in flip-flops the whole way, Lo Wei-ming finished the 3,100-mile-long race in just over 45 days. That's about 2 marathons a day. He came in 3rd overall and broke the world record for runners over 60. Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Finally, we leave you with images from Taipei Fashion Week, showcasing a unique collaboration by local designers. I'm Joyce. Take care and see you next time.